Welcome to TV3. I'm TV3, your host, and on this week's episode, we're talking about some giant robots, Disney's newest hero, I bought a whole lot of Transformers, and of course, we'll round out the episode by answering some of your comments and questions in the feedback section. Now, before we get started, I have two things. Number one, yes, I know my tan lines are ridiculous, but that's just what happens when you ride a bicycle every day. Second thing is that this past weekend was TFCON, the big Transformers convention up here in Toronto, Canada, and I was there, and amazingly enough, a lot of you guys were there, and a lot more of you came up to greet and say hi to me than I anticipated. The funny part though was that almost everyone who said hi to me also came with the surprise statement of, "Why are you here, Type B3? There's no Gundams. This is a Transformers convention." So that was a little shocking on my side, but it was pretty funny. So I guess I pigeonholed myself into this sort of Gundam only type person, but that's definitely not the case. I love all toys and all robots. So yeah, definitely that was cool to meet you all. And I hope to see you all in an upcoming event or toy show or whatnot. Who knows? I might be there, you might be there, but if you do ever see me at a future event, make sure to say hi, and yeah, it'd be nice to talk to you. Alright, so this week we're kicking off the news segment with Bandai's latest announcement on their Metal Build series. They hinted at this about a week ago, but now the full reveal is here, and yes, of course it is the 00 Quanta, and it looks as gorgeous as you ever thought it could be. There's really nothing to complain on the visual front. I mean, it is stunning to look at with the full metallic inner frame there, really popping, especially considering the fact that the big news with this metal build is that the parts are removable, and I believe there are custom or additional parts you can add on to display it as the full burst mode, which is super cool. I mean, who doesn't want that? That's definitely a neat feature, and it definitely is one of those things that I like seeing, because I didn't like the situation with the Exia and the Repair, how they were two different mobile suits. I wish that was just, or two different releases. I wish that was just one release with all the parts included, just to make things easier. So this definitely solves that issue by giving you all the parts. So if you wanted to display it in its completed regular state or the full burst effect, you can have that. The downside is that including all these extra parts inevitably means that it's going to be expensive, and this one is costing around 25,000 yen, which is higher than I suppose the average metal build, but I guess with all the inclusions that you have you got to consider here, especially too that there is an LED in the chest, that definitely makes up for the price. And you know, the LED is the thing that I can, I don't really care about. Some people like that thing, but who knows? I mean, it's expensive, but I don't think it really matters, because at the end of the day, Bandai knows the thing's going to sell. You guys are going to buy it. I know you're going to buy it. So yeah, I hope you guys like it. There you go. Metal Build 00 Quanta. We all thought it was going to be good, and it's probably even better than you thought it could be. So there you go. The other side of Bandai's big giant robot action is we finally got clear shots at the Soul of Shogoken Gypsy Danger, and it looks real cool. No real details here, it's just it was shown off at a show, and it looks as impressive as ever. But I suppose the big surprise is that beside the display of the Soul of Shogoken Gypsy Danger is that they're doing a robot Damashi, or the robot spirits, Gypsy Avenger from Pacific Rim 2. So they're getting on the Pacific Rim 2 hype train early. They're going to have figures out and available, I suppose, just in time for the release. And the Gypsy Avenger is probably the more interesting of the two, because it fully reveals what the actual design of the robot's going to be. And I gotta say, I have mixed thoughts on the Gypsy Avenger. In many ways, I like the aesthetic they're going for. It definitely fits more of what I'm into, but it also just makes it look a bit more generic. It kind of looks like every other anime robot out there, and that kind of makes it a little less interesting. Who knows, maybe it's something I'll have to see in person before I really commit to an opinion. As for now, though, I'm kind of 50-50 on this one. The big surprise, though, is that the new Gypsy Avenger, the Robot Spirits, as well as the Soul Chogokin Gypsy Danger, are side by side in this display, and their sizing seems very interesting. Either the Soul Chogokin is really small, or that robot Damashi is super big. I'm hoping it's the latter, but something tells me it's the former, and the reason I would want a Soul of Chogokin Gypsy Danger is so that it's gigantic and huge. So I'm hoping that this is gigantic and huge, but something tells me that it's not going to be as large as many of us were anticipating it to be. Also, I guess the other question that I gotta ask is why Robot Spirits or why Robot Damashi? This should have been a Soul Chogokin, or not a Soul Chogokin, a Super Robot Chogokin release. I mean, is that line officially dead, Bandai? Because that's what I want, and I'm sure I'm not the only one, right? All right, switching gears over to PlayArts Kai, and PlayArts Kai are, of course, known for their sort of non-scale 10, 8, 9, 11-inch figures of their popular video game Square properties like Final Fantasy, Kingdom Hearts, more recently with their variant Marvel and DC figures. But here they're showing off something from the upcoming game Kingdom Hearts 3, and this is Sora Guardian form, but this is interestingly in their brand new figure line of Bring Arts, which is a 6-inch scale figure line that is, so I suppose, directly competes with SH Figuarts and Figma, and I was definitely surprised to see that there is more than one of these Bring Arts toys, because they're doing the Sora in Guardian form. They have previously announced a Sora in his base form, but they're also announcing a trio of Sora, Goofy, and Donald Duck in their Toy Story World forms, which is really neat. So that's very cool. I'm super curious to see what this toy line turns out to be. At the moment, it's probably one of my most anticipated toys to check out, just because I really want to know what PlayArts Kai can do in the 6-inch scale. So I look forward to seeing how these come out, and I just hope they're not too expensive. And finally, because I was at TFCON, there was a lot of cool new announcements in terms of Transformers, especially from the third-party division. And although there was what I remember being like a billion different things, 2 of them stand out to me. And both of them deal with taking a character and redesigning it for a different, let's say, continuity or world that they're not familiar with, because those are the 2 coolest things I saw at the show. So first up is from Mastermind Creations, and that is their classics or neoclassics or Chuggerts Bulkhead. Now this is based off of their, I believe it's their Roadbuster slash Titanica body. I want to say that's correct. Maybe I'm wrong. Anyways, he looks super cool. Bulkhead is, of course, the big green powerhouse from Transformers Prime, and some would argue probably the only good thing about Transformers Prime. And this toy looks really cool. I think the thing that sells it for me is the head sculpt. He's got that huge chin, and he just looks like a tank. He comes with a sniper rifle and whatnot, and he's just a nice, beefy looking transforming dude. I really like it. It's probably the highlight of TFCon for me. It was the thing that, total surprise. No, I didn't see it coming. I don't know if anyone else saw it coming or whatnot. I don't even know if MMC hinted at this, but I think it's very, very cool. I got to pick it up. I didn't really get the chance to handle it, but like I held it, and it was it seems like the standard MMC stuff. I like MMC. They're pretty good, so I look forward to this. Now, the second thing that I got interested in was from the third-party panel, and it came out of left field. I don't know if anyone saw this coming. It's from Generation Toy, and it is their 10th release. I believe it's their GT10 release. They don't have a code name for it yet. They just called it Optimus Primal. And this is Optimus Primal as if he were done up in a, again, classics sort of aesthetic. And so he's very, very robotic. I believe this is based off of a piece of artwork by, I forget the artist, I apologize, but there's a piece of artwork floating around out there that this references, and Generation Toy are trying to make it happen in a actual toy form, and I think this is super cool. I love Beast Wars. No, this has no connection to anything about Beast Wars or the comics or whatnot, but I still think this is a really neat idea. I want to see it through, and I definitely am tempted to pick one up when this finally hits release. So yeah, there's also 2 other silhouetted designs in the works. I believe GT11 is a bull who turns into a robot, and the only thing I could think of is one of the Lamborghini brothers from G1, just because the Lamborghini logo is a raging bull, so maybe that's Sideswipe. Who knows? I don't know who GT12 is. That could be anybody, to be honest. So, but I definitely think it looks cool, and I can't wait to see what the full release looks like when it hits at some point in the near future. Okay, so this week in the new items section, I'm just going to show you all what I got at TFCon. So this is the TFCon haul, and I'll start things off with something small. That is the Iron Factory Blitzwing. I believe it's called Blizzard. Now, I got this secondhand. This was at the Repro Labels booth, who were selling this off with the repro labels on, and that's kind of why I bought it, because it had the stuff included and it was a really good deal. I picked it up. The toy is actually pretty okay. It's not super spectacular. The jet mode is incredibly awful, but the tank mode is nice, and he's this nice beefy little dude. Blitzwing has always been one of my favorite Decepticons, just because he embodies everything I've liked about Decepticons. You know, he's big and bulky, and he turns into both a jet and a tank and an awesome robot. So in my mind, whenever I think what is Decepticon, Blitzwing always comes to mind, and I've always wanted a Blitzwing. Now I have one that's sort of good. I'm still on the hunt for something better, but this will do for now. The next thing I got was from my favorite Transformers third-party company, that is Make Toys or Make Toys, and I got their remastered Downbeat, which is supposed to be their version of Masterpiece Jazz, the Autobot Jazz. I love Jazz. Jazz is too cool. And yeah, so I picked this up because I have no idea when Takara's going to do theirs, and I've been hearing nothing but great things about this toy, so I just had to know. Now, one of the things that TFCON is very popular for amongst collectors are their toy exclusive releases, and this year I managed to get one of them, and that was from Mastermind, and that was the MMC Calidus. This is, of course, their Rodimus done up in the, at the time of this recording, Lost Light colors. So that means that Rodimus is in this awesome purple and blue color scheme, and I think this actually looks better than the original or regular red and orange release, just because it has more details that were filled out, and it just looks nicer overall. I think this toy is really cool. I don't really have too much else to say on it right now. I only really opened it and messed around with it a couple times. There's things I like, things I don't like. This is, spoiler alert, the next review on my YouTube channel, so if you want my full opinions, you're just going to have to wait a little bit longer, but I'll tell you right now, he's pretty cool. I like him enough, so there you go. Now, every TFCon, I try to make it a point to get something big, and when I mean big, I mean something that's just large. I don't necessarily have it to need it to be expensive or impressive. I just want it to be large, because there's always something about buying a very, very big toy and taking it home. There's just some magic and excitement to that. So this year I managed to pick up the Titans Return Fortress Maximus set, and I'm super happy that I got this because it was on a really good deal. I believe it was a couple of months or weeks ago back, somewhere in America. I believe it was Ross or Marshalls were selling this guy for around $40 American, and a couple of the dealers brought that up to Canada, and they were charging basically the amount it would have costed me to get a friend to buy and then ship it to me. So I got this for a steal. It happened on the Friday night during a lot of the room sales, and yeah, I saw it and I was super tempted and bought it. So there it is, Fortress Maximus. Haven't opened it yet. I don't know how good it actually is as a toy, but it's big and it's large and it's Fort Max, and I suppose every Transformers collector is going to want one of these at some point, whether it's the original G1 one or this one here. So pretty happy with that. Now, the last thing I got was this pen, and this pen is probably the coolest thing I got all weekend because it is from Flame Toys, and Flame Toys are, of course, the company who are behind the super detailed, super articulated, but non-transforming Drift figure. They were there, they had a prototype, and it looked awesome, but they had this pen, and they gave it to you if you signed up and liked their Facebook page. So, but the thing about this pen is that it has a light, and the light actually has a picture of Drift in it. I don't know if you can see that, but I'll pull up a video that I took showcasing what this pen is all about. Check out my hot new pen. That's cool. Alright, time to answer some questions, and the first one comes from Sheena. How do you feel about third-party knockoff Gundam models? I feel about them the same way I feel about third-party Transformers toys. They exist, and if you like them, hey, it's your money, you buy what you want. But at the end of the day, that being said, you know, I don't care about Gundam enough to want to even delve down into that third-party kit idea thing or market. So, yeah, if you're into it, you're into it. If you're not, you're not. I really couldn't care less in either case. What makes you started on the whole Gundam plastic model kit reviews? I suppose the number one reason I started the reviews is because I got super into Gundam Build Fighters, and there was no one at the time who was making Gundam Build Fighter reviews that I wanted to watch. What I mean by that is there wasn't really a reviewer out there who I feel like I could connect with, or someone who I liked the content they were putting out. I mean, there was, of course, Robert. Everyone knows Robert, right? And he put out some great videos, but Gundam Build Fighters was about the time he started to die down. So it just so happened that there was this gray area where no one was making any content, and I figured, well, whatever, I'll start doing it if no one else will. And people seem to like it, so I continued to do it. Hey Vince, looking at how successful most YouTubers are through vlogging, would you consider doing more of it? Yes, I would, but only if I stopped doing the toy thing. I don't feel like this channel has enough pull to go and do and add vlogs to it. I do it every now and then out of my own enjoyment and my own yeah, that's it. Just basically for me. I don't expect anyone to watch them. However, when it comes to vlogging, if I wanted to make a serious effort at it, I would probably get different equipment, more portable equipment, and I would quit the whole toy thing altogether. But as it stands, I'm still doing the toy thing. However, if in the near future, say I packed up all my bags and wanted to go on a traveling excursion, yeah, I would probably just do more. I would switch everything over to vlogging and have more interesting stuff to show you on film. But right now, vlogging is not a priority for me, and it probably won't be unless something life changing happens. I see that you have the old Megazord toy. Do you have any plans to get the SOC version? Ah, you're probably looking at this box and thinking that it is the old Megazord toy. Well, it's not. It is the Legacy Megazord, and it's also in celebration of the Power Rangers 20th anniversary, and that is the Machine Legacy Dragonzord. Now, these were toys that were released a couple of years ago, and they were all new toys done up by Bandai America. They removed the electronics, and they shifted up some of the proportions, and they added die cast to make it weightier. They're great display toys, but they are unfortunately just statues, is what they are. Now, as opposed to the SOC, when that was announced, I was super hyped and I really wanted it. Power Rangers means a whole lot to me, but at the end of the day, it was just so expensive. And I've gotten to the point in my collecting collecting career that really expensive toys just don't do anything for me anymore, especially when they end up just being put on the shelf for display. And that's what's going to happen with that Soul of Chogokin Megazord. I have a hard time now paying for toys that are anywhere over $100 on if they don't do anything like a transformation gimmick or whatnot. It's the reason why I don't really get into metal builds or Soul of Chogokin anymore, because it's just really expensive things just end up being really expensive statues, and statues are the opposite of why I collect. So I would much rather have something more in like a smaller 6-inch scale that's hyper detailed and hyper full or jam packed with features and gimmicks than a giant cool looking statue. So I mean, if I'm able to find one at a good price, or I suddenly come into a whole lot of money, then for sure I'll get one. But at the moment, I have no plans to get it, but it would be nice to have. We have another Power Rangers question, and this one asks, hey, V3, what's your favorite Power Rangers season or seasons? My favorite, I think, Undisputed Champ is the original MMPR, especially the first 2 seasons where Jason was still the lead. I looked up to Jason like my hero as a kid, and he was just the best part about it, and I don't think I will ever forget the original year of Power Rangers, especially when the Green Ranger was still evil, and that was a whole lot of fun. My favorite moment is when Tommy gives Jason the shield and the dagger for the Dragonzord. I love that. That was my favorite time to be a Power Rangers fan. I thought Jason was just the coolest. So let's exclude that just for the fun of the argument. I've always liked In Space just because that was fun. But I suppose the one that really connected me more was Ninja Storm, because Ninja Storm was the one where I was in high school and I was trying to move away, or trying to be not part of all the childish things. So toys, anime, Power Rangers, anything that you could describe as stereotypically nerdy, I tried not to be part of. But Ninja Storm was the one that I believe that was the first thing that helped me get back into this whole cultural hobby thing. And it's funny because I remember I was in high school and there was a guy that I thought was super cool. Like, I think everybody knows that. I had that person where you're in high school and you see someone else, you're like, man, that guy's cool. How can I be more like that guy? Well, anyways, Long story short, I ended up being friends with this guy, and he let it slip that for some reason or another, he would catch himself watching Power Rangers Ninja Storm on the weekends on Saturday morning. And at this time, this is a time when I was trying to not, I was trying to be super cool and not be into that. And it was one of those moments where I was like, well, you know what? Maybe I don't have to be super cool all the time. And I checked out Ninja Storm, and it was awesome. And it was this thing that I would only ever talk about with him, and we would never talk about it outside of a conversation where it was just the two of us. And so yeah, on top of being just a really good show, I think I have a lot of just nostalgic connection to that, just because it was that moment where I was like, being being a teenager and still watching Power Rangers is fun and it's cool, and I super was into that. Do you plan your budget, or you just buy toys on the first sight? I used to be very impulsive when I started out collecting and just buying things that I saw at the toy store, at the comic book shop. Everything that I thought looked cool, I just bought. But that ends up to just overspending, and then you just get really sad about how much money you've spent on plastic, and you get to at least for me, I kind of got a little depressed at how much I was starting to spend on plastic toys, and so I toned it down. Now I have Excel spreadsheets, that cover all the months. They have all my pre-orders listed, where I have it pre-ordered, what price is it for, and it even has a going exchange rate because the Canadian dollar sucks. So yeah, I definitely plan things out more, and I found that just has helped me with just toning down my budget and making things a bit more manageable and being more financially responsible, I guess. So, yeah, hashtag adulting. All right, and there you have it, another episode of TV3 over and done with. If there's anything you want to discuss further with me, make sure to leave your comment in the comments section below. And if you asked a question, but unfortunately I have yet to answer it, just keep asking it. Eventually I will get to it. There's just sometimes some questions require longer answers, and I can't put them in, let's say, this episode. So feel free to keep asking the same question if I haven't gotten to it yet. In any event, again, I had fun meeting all of you out at TFCON, and I hope to see you all in an upcoming convention. As always, thanks for watching, and I will see you next week. Bye!